How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ruffled Rowlets, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today, guys, we're going to be taking a look at some Pokemon rumors, leaks, all that kind of stuff. Sit back, relax, grab yourself a beverage, and let's get started. First things first, guys, we have some official news coming to us. This is coming to us from PokeBeach, who say the following. Pokemon TCG may be hinting at a summer or fall 2025 release for Legends ZA. Check out this in the article on PokeBeach for all the details. Now, if we go over to PokeBeach here, pokebeach.com, you guys will see what we're talking about. And this has to do with Legends ZA, and we're going to talk about it a bit more in depth. So, first things first, here's the post, and it was made, of course, by PokeBeach themselves, by, of course, the Water Pokemon Master, who says, Japanese Pokemon TCG sets always release around the same time as new Pokemon games. This is to market each other, which is true. Yes, Pokemon TCG sets are kind of always neck and neck with the games. So shortly after the game's release, you'll have the TCG, and sometimes the TCG will even be before. But as you can see right here, they give an example of this. Sword and Shield released on November 15th of 2019 for the Nintendo Switch. 2 weeks later, the Sword and Shield sets hit the store shelves in Japan. They introduced Pokemon V to the TCG with VMAX cards referencing Dynamax Pokemon. So literally 2 weeks later, the first Sword and Shield sets actually went out on sale in Japan. So remember, game comes out November 15th. 2 weeks later, so what would that be? End of November, beginning of December, you already had the first Sword and Shield TCG set. And here he continues on saying that then, you continue from there, Starbirth featuring Arceus V-Star released on January 14, 2022 as the first set of the year. 2 weeks later, Legends Arceus released for the Nintendo Switch, a rare case of the set coming before the game, which sometimes happens. Starbirth introduced Pokemon V-Star to the TCG. Pokemon V-Star were closely inspired by the frenzied Pokemon in the game that were blessed by Arceus' power. The mechanic lasted until V-Star Universe in December, I guess about a year. So, the following sets, Time Gazer and Space Juggler, featured the first Pokemon, humans, and settings from the games. They were released on April 8th, 2022. So, shortly after the release of the actual game. Because the game came out, like, what? Sometime, like, you know, early into January, right? Is when it released. Like, that's when you know, whatchamacallit? Oh, sorry, end of January. So end of January, Legends Arceus releases. And then already in April, you had a set released for it. And technically, you already had a set before that, but then you had another set, you know, which in this case was the Time Gazers and Space Jugglers. Then he says, Scarlet and Violet hit the Nintendo Switch on November 18th, 2022. Scarlet EX and Violet EX released 2 months later on January 20th as the first sets of the year. They reintroduced Pokemon EX to the TCG, with Terra Pokemon EX representing terrestrialized Pokemon. For sure. So, what we're saying here, for most Pokemon games, a TCG set is always within 2 months of the game it's based on. They also introduced new mechanics that are, at least, loosely inspired by the games. With all this in mind, what can we glean from the upcoming TCG schedule about the release of Legends ZA? Well, we only know the game will release in 2025, takes place in Lumio City, and will feature a return of Mega Evolution. We know Battle Partners will release in Japan in January 24th, right? So, Battle Partners is going to be this set. So, Battle Partners sets release in Japan January, return of Owner's Pokemon. So a new named set is going to be Battle Partners. Has been revealed through distributors. The set cards sleeve and dex box will feature Iono. Releasing alongside the set will also be a Collection File N and Collection File Lily. As the name implies, Battle Partners will feature notable Pokemon trainers alongside their Pokemon. But here's where it gets interesting. On February 21st, 2 new pre-constructed decks will be released named Starter Set EX Stevens Beldum and Metagross EX, and Starter Set EX Marnie's Morpeko and Grimstall EX. This seems to indicate the return of Owner's Pokemon. So Owner's Pokemon have appeared in TCG in different forms over the years, both mechanically and visually. And you guys may remember these, where it like shows you who owns them, right? Like the little like icon on the bottom that shows you who owns this Pokemon, and who's like, you know, just literally the owner of the Pokemon, right? That's kind of the point of it. And there's been different iterations. We had these original ones with just the icon of the character, and then you had these ones where the actual character is in the full art. But you guys may remember these. So what they're saying here is, we know the Battle Partners will release in Japan on January 24th. It's the first set of 2025, which usually introduces the year's new mechanic. The official sell sheet tells us it will feature characters like Iono and Lily. None of these characters are associated with Kalos as we know it. The name of the set also makes no obvious references to Kalos as we know it. Cool. However, on February 21st, Two pre-constructed decks will release named Starter Set EX Stevens Beldam and Metagross EX, and Marnie's Morpeko and Grimmsnarl EX. Again, none of these characters are associated with Kalos as we know it. The existence of these decks also implies that TCG will be reintroducing owners Pokemon and battle partners, like we just read. We also know from a trademark listing that a set called The Glory of Team Rocket is in the works. The soonest this set can release is March. We don't know anything about the set, but presumably it will see the return of Rocket's Pokemon. So you guys remember, like I already talked about this in a previous video, but there will most likely be this kind of set returning, which is going to be centered around Team Rocket, like literally a Team Rocket set. So Rocket's Mewtwo, and, you know, a Mewtwo EX Rockets one specifically. So you guys may remember some of these in the past that existed. They're pretty cool cards, actually, but that's going to be most likely returning. And in this case, what this could indicate for us is the following. Now, these 2025 releases hint that the TCG will be focusing on owners Pokemon. While we don't know much about ZA, it doesn't seem the mechanic relates to Kalos in a significant way. Not like VMAX or Galar, V-Star for Hisui, or Terra EX for Paldea. Rather, it's as if the TCG is stalling for 2025, reviving a beloved mechanic only because there isn't a new video game content to work with, using a variety of popular humans from differing games, including Team Rocket, also indicates this. The TCG features new mechanics for a handful of sets. This means the owner's mechanic won't be dropped quickly. A defining feature of ZA will presumably be its Mega Evolution. There's no doubt that TCG will market this as it's done in the past, especially if there's new Mega Evolutions. So you guys know the Mega cards, they went hard, okay? I think Mega Rayquaza is still one of the top tier cards people loved back then. So yeah, therefore, it seems that TCG is hinting at Legends ZA that Legends ZA won't come out until at least April, but the TCG will likely feature the owner's mechanic for a few sets beyond Rocket or even longer, implying a later 2025 release for Legends ZA. Of course, all this is speculation and linear thinking based on current precedent. It can't account for any curveballs. We should get a better idea of 25's release schedule during this year's Worlds, which will be held from August 16th until August 18th. I'll be at the event to cover any news. We're expecting owners Pokemon to be revealed for the TCG. We'll discuss this news story later on their podcast. So there you go. Basically, they updated here as well. Revised the headline of TCG may be hinting at a later 25 release for Legends, which is a more accurate conclusion of the article's evidence, which is fair. So what does this tell us? What does it tell you and me as you know, people waiting for this bloody game? Well, it tells us that the people who know the TCG better than most likely you and me can clearly tell that there's going to be a new mechanic. In this case, well, I say new mechanic, but it's basically a reintroduction of old mechanics into the TCG. And as they said, it's more as a way to seemingly stall because, as you already know, and as you can tell from the article, and I've said this in a million videos at this point, that when TCG sets release, right, they feature some form of mechanic, V-Star, VMAX, EX, whatever you want to call them. And each of these mechanics do have a significant impact on the gameplay of the TCG, but also the collectability of it, right? And what this means for us is that if they're not going to be featuring a feature that's like connected to the games, because there is no new game and they're stalling with something else, that stalling could go on for a while. And the fact that they are going to be bringing in like owners Pokemon, and as they point out here, that owners Pokemon, like them reintroducing it with like that first set, the battle partner set, or whatever it's called, right? Like battle partner set, as well as then the Team Rocket set, the Glory of Team Rocket. That's 2 sets in a row. And again, one of them is going to be releasing most likely, like they say here, in March. That's this one, and the other one in February. So that's about what? January, February, March, so that's about like a month between those 2 sets, and they could still go on for a little bit longer after that and do another 1 or 2 sets after that featuring this exact same mechanic before we actually get Legends ZA released. But the thing is, it can't go on until the end of the year, I don't think. I don't think they're going to make enough sets like this to go on until the end of the year. I mean, they could if the distance between each set is relatively long. And keep in mind, the distance between Pokemon sets can be anywhere between 2 to 3 months, sometimes shorter, sometimes more. Sometimes there are like expansions which, release more frequently. But point is, oftentimes there is, a specific set of time between them, 2 to 3 months on average. So again, that could still mean that this, owner's partner Pokemon thing could go on for way longer. It could go on until the end of the year of 2025, which would imply that we're most likely not going to see any news for a long time, which would be detrimental to my soul. I'm not going to lie to you. It would be bad for my soul, but it is what it is. Moving on though, same here thing. We have again, the same post here from him. Kind of already talked about this. So I don't think it's really necessarily to go back into it again. But yeah, I'd love to know what you guys' thoughts and opinions are, because Frankly, I don't really know how to feel. Also, there's this post from Blaines who said that Game Freak apparently are hiring positions right now that give away the game they're working on. So apparently a 2D artist and Unity programmer, indicating another Unity engine remake like BDSP in development. I don't think necessarily that them hiring 2D artists and Unity programmers, I don't think that necessarily implies that they're going to be in any way, shape, or form working on a BDSP style remake. That doesn't mean anything. Remember, Game Freak works on other stuff than just Pokemon. Like Pandland, for example, is a weird, like, Chinese exclusive, like, game. Pandland, I think it's called. I could be wrong here. I think it's called Pandland. Game Freak. Let's see if we can find it. Let's see. Pandland. There it is. So yeah, this game, right? This is like a exclusive mobile game made by the Pokemon developers called Pandland. And it's just like a weird little, like, it kind of looks more like Pokemon Quest than anything, which is really strange. But yeah, so basically what I'm trying to say is there's no guarantees, okay, that just because they're hiring people for Unity, that means anything for potential remakes. That doesn't mean really much. It says also there's also a lot of R&D, so research and development, and programmers for new IP likely indicates Pokemon Legends ZA is still quite a bit away. Again, new IP is not Pokemon. A new IP means a new intellectual property. Pokemon isn't a new intellectual property. Pokemon is an existing one. So let's just read through these quickly. Contract, communication, game programmer, Pokemon series development. That is definitely guaranteed for Pokemon because it implies it there. Then here, contract Unity engineer assigned to R&D department. Being assigned to the R&D department does not mean you're working on Pokemon. You're working in the R&D department, research and development. R&D for a Unity engineer means inventing new ways to use Unity, like researching new ways to use the program to the advantage of the company to create new products. That doesn't mean anything with what the next game will be necessarily. Again, it could be Pandland. It doesn't have to be Pokemon related unless it says so. Like up here, it clearly says here they're looking for a communication game programmer for the Pokemon series, but then for the contract here, Unity engineer, that's, you know, different. Then also contract for animation programmer, also going to the R&D department. A contract infrastructure engineer, this is for server-side stuff, right? So anything, I guess, them, you know, using any server-side elements, whether it's in-house servers they're using to send files between workers, or if it's a server-side thing for development of their games and having a server-side, you know, functionality, right? Like Pokemon Wi-Fi battling, for example. Contract, information systems, Windows infrastructure engineer, R&D programmer communication system, R&D programmer animation, machine, graphics, systems, battle systems, libraries, procedural, I guess, technical artist for procedural stuff, and a technical artist for tools. So again, all of these could be related to Pokemon, or all of them could be related to really any project at Pokemon. Again, it could be literally anything. And keep in mind, Pokemon and the Game Freak company, they hire all the time. Okay, this is nothing brand new necessarily. But then they do continue here to say Pokemon series development, which would imply that at least the last thing here, the sound planner, would be related to Pokemon, unless everything underneath here, or every single one of these, you know, these points here that was listed is all related to the Pokemon series. If that is true, though, that means that they are working on something in Unity, whether that's Legends ZA being made in Unity, or if it's a different game being made in Unity, we don't know. Point is, if the order of this is correct, because again, Blaines could be totally right here and I could be totally wrong. I will admit to that if I'm reading this wrong. But again, it's a bit confusing the way it's listed, because then here it says a contract 2D artwork designer and in parentheses Pokemon series development. Is that specifically for just 2D artwork designer, or is that for everything above, like character model designer, effects, background, cutscenes, section, lighting, human motion, Pokemon models? Because Pokemon models are definitely included, so that's definitely related to Pokemon. But again, you know, which does that match to? Again, I could be wrong here. Manager, game programmer, and then communication system, contract for a game programmer, characters for a new IP. So new IP is listed there. Again, new IP would be a new intellectual property. So I doubt that the last part has anything to do with Pokemon. That would just be a brand new IP. But we will see. We'll see. Again, it's all up in the air, right? It's all up in the air. We'll see how that goes. Then there's this post by Kelios. Kelios normally shares any stuff that he finds, like data mines, you know, trademarks, that kind of stuff. And he basically shared this trademark for Madrid, work in progress here. So it's basically a trademark for something. People were able to seemingly figure out that it's related to Kirby. That's at least what is being said here by Necrofelipe. And then down here, I haven't really seen much else. But the fact that it's like, I guess, codenamed or trademarked as Madrid makes me wonder what it's related to. I mean, people are saying Kirby, but I mean, we'll see if that leads to anything. Honestly, I don't really know what else to say about it. The other thing, though, we're going to talk about real quick is actually a post that was made by none else than specifically Centro Leaks. Now, what did Centro say this time? Well, basically, he said, what if there's no new Pokemon Presents this month and the next PLZA news until next year, if nothing happens by the end of the next week? Well, here again, people are saying it depends. When is EA releasing? If it's fall 2025, that makes sense. If it's January or February, I'm sure they'll release info this month. Honestly, right now, we're not expecting any release before expecting a release before summer. So here's the thing. I most likely think the game is going to come out in the, like, not maybe like, when I say second half of next year, I'm not talking about November, December. I'm talking August. Like, August and around that range is when I'm expecting this game to come out. The reason I say this is if, you know, and this is really just me speculating, is that if they're going to announce any news about this game, if, again, emphasis on if, they announce any news for this game to, you know, this week or this next week or this month of August, because this is the time they normally should be doing Pokemon Presents. I'm not going to go over to the list I show you guys every time, but I always show this list of Pokemon Presents. And for the last 3 years, there's always been a Pokemon Presents in February and always a Pokemon Presents in August. Guess what? All the last 3 years, 2021, 2022, 2023, and now in 2024, we are expecting, or at least I'm expecting it to stay on that schedule. One presents in February, which is exactly what we got for Pokemon Day, and one presents when? In August, which is right now. So I'm hoping it's going to happen. But again, the question then is, if they don't show any news, just keep this in mind, if they do not show any news for Pokemon Legends ZA this month, we probably will not see this game until Pokemon Day next year, so February 2025, which means that that game most likely is coming out very late next year. Like, that's the only way that could indicate anything. But again, we're gonna have to wait and see, because it is in a weird spot right now. So moving on, though, we have a little bit of a quick rumor post over on 4chan of all places. You guys know how this shit works, so let's see what it says. So, Leaky Licky is the name of this person, saying new forms for ZA. The starters are Snivy, Torchic, and Totodile, 3 starters that were not available as an option on the Nintendo Switch. Many have the wrong assumption that Piplup is the water starter of games. The starters will have regional forms and mega evolutions. Superior is a grass dragon, it's royal apparently. Blaziken is Fire Fairy, a Fairy Tail, and for Alligator, Water Steel, a Night Monster. Ooh. Then Ride Pokemon, Fast Travel in Land, Regional Mudbrave with new Evolution Fighting type. Then there's going to be apparently an Item Searcher, which is going to be the Pokemon Mighty Hina. Evolution is going to be a pure dark semi-bipedal Pokemon, which I would not like that. Swimming is going to be Love Disc's Evolution, Water Fairy, male and female form. Then Climbing is going to be a Go-Goat Evolution, which is Grass Ice. And finally, of course, Fly, which is going to be Noivern Evolution, Flying Dragon with 600 BSTs, which based at totals. I don't know about that, Chief. But okay. Then it says new forms and evolutions: Xerneas Ultimate Form Fairy and Yveltal Ultimate Form Dark Flying. Zygarde does not have a new form. Regional Dragapult is Dragon Water apparently, and then Mega Chestnut is Grass Steel with Iron Barbs, and Mega Delphox is Fire Psychic with Magic Bounce. Mega Greninja is apparently Water Dark with adaptability, different from Ash's Greninja. Barrel's evolution is a normal water type, and no new evolution, no Mega Charizard Z, no Mega Mewtwo Z. Again, it's a rumor post, so I wouldn't take it too much to heart, or, you know, take what it says at face value as being real, because, again, it is a 4chan post, so you never really know if you can trust it. Sometimes they have interesting, like, points or information that could be real, but this one just feels too bland to be real, so I'm going to just leave it at that. Next one, though, is a quick post, which apparently is Pokemon World Championship 2024 trailer info. Just like how they revisited the Reggies, Birds, and in PLA, the Genies, PLZA will also revisit a previous legendary trio, making them a pair of 4. That, of course, being the Tapus. Their new member will be a cloud white draconic being similar to the shell to Regidrago, but with feathers instead. Its design, name, origin too, are loosely inspired by a certain someone, and that's intentional because a good chunk of PLZA staffs are fans of that manga. Again, I don't know who that's supposed to refer to. I don't know if is it like, I mean, again, they say it's loosely based on someone, and it's similar to its shell with Regidrago, but with feathers instead. Again, I don't know who this could be related to. If you guys have any idea what they're referring to here, please let me know, because frankly speaking, I have no idea. But again, it's just a shorter piece of information. But again, keep in mind, the World Championship for Pokemon, right? Like, Pokemon World Championship, right? It's gonna be happening very soon. So if we go here to the Pokemon World Championship 2024, of course, in Honolulu, It's going to start from August 18th until the 16th, sorry, until the 18th. So it's very soon. It's not really long to go now, guys. We have, I mean, holy shit, it's next week. Okay, it's next week, guys. It's next week. So if they do not announce a Pokemon Presents before, then the only chance is slightly after that. But if it doesn't happen by then, boys, I'm gonna be real with you. I don't know if we're gonna get anything. I'll be real. Like, the only chances maybe at the World Championship itself that they announce something. Like, there's always a chance. So I would stay tuned, and I might even do some streams just to keep track of what's happening. But like, honestly, I am not sure. Like, I am not certain about this. I'm gonna be real with you. Like, I am not certain if we're gonna get any news. But again, it would be weird, because then they're breaking a formula that's been working for them, which of course they can always do that. Keep in mind, there's no reason for them to continue on a specific path just because they've done it before. But it would just be weird to shift now from doing a February, August, February, August, February, August, because it's been working. Why change it when shit's working? And like, that's the weird part here, because it is working, so why go ahead and change it? It doesn't make much sense to me. But either way, that's going to be it for today's, guys. If you enjoyed it, make sure to drop a like down below. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. So peace out, and bye-bye, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great day.